So the first recipe that we're going to do is the chicken fajitas. And I got a jar of my home canned pinto beans that you and I made together. And I've got 3 chicken thighs here. Now remember, these meals are just going to be for me through the week. So what I've got, they're bone in, and I'm going to roast them that way. It makes it a lot more flavorful doing it bone on. It's what I had, so it's convenient. But I am going to do something that I don't normally do, and that's remove the skin. And I'll use my knife to make it a little easier. I'm doing it a little bit differently. This is more of a healthy spin for me. I am working on cleaning up my eating habits just for my own health. I've had issues in the past with blood sugar issues. I've had weight problems, and I have joint problems, that kind of thing. So, you know, just trying to overall take some better care of myself. So that's all I'm going to do is pull the skin off on these guys here. I won't make more than this for fajitas. That's plenty for several meals because I'm only going to use a little bit. There's going to be a lot of veggies in there. And, you know, I don't need a ton of meat. I'm also going to be making several other recipes with chicken. So, yeah, I also don't want to have the same flavor profile every meal or I will go out of my mind. You get bored with it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start seasoning them. I'm going to go ahead and take my gloves off here, which is sad because I'm probably going to need gloves again. But here we are. So I bought this seasoning. I actually was trying to get a more natural fajita mix seasoning in a jar, and they didn't have it. So they substituted this, and it is a chipotle. It's by Dano's. I've never used this before. I did a quick taste test on it, and it's got some heat, but it's got good flavor. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and use that for fajitas, and then I'm going to add some lemon to it and a little bit of lime juice that I've got, I think, in a bottle in there. I don't have any more fresh limes, but I do have a fresh lemon. So I will probably be using that. And if I get really crazy, I think I've got some mandarin oranges behind me on the counter. So all I'm going to do, and I did taste this, it does have salt in it. So I'm actually not going to add any more salt. I'm just going to use this guy. I'm going to use some garlic and onion powder, figure out how to open that, and some chili powder, just all those lovely flavors that'll really make it taste like good fajitas. Unfortunately, because of the weather and the time of day, it's dark outside right now, I won't be able to use the grill. So I will just be roasting this in the oven. I am going to put a little tiny bit of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, because this is not nonstick foil. It is regular heavy-duty foil. That's fine. It's for everyday use, but I found that it sticks terribly. Even if you've got something with a much higher fat content, it still sticks like the dickens. So I will go ahead and grab the olive oil, put a little bit down here, and what I'll do is just a teaspoon of that. I'll get a paper towel and just spread it evenly around, just to prevent sticking. So let me grab that, and we will continue on from here. Alrighty, so I got a little piece of paper towel and my olive oil, and I'm just going to go boop, and that's all I need. And with a paper towel, I can just spread it out. And that's it. And I put it in my thank you for coming bowl. I think Rachel Ray coined that one. And I'm going to go ahead and do the seasoning here. And I'm going to be pretty heavy-handed with it because it's me. And then my onion powder. And my garlic. And I got the chili powder out, although clearly this has got quite a bit of chili powder in it. So yeah, I think I'll go ahead and skip that because it's well coated. Let me see here. Grab my tongs. And all I'm going to do is, I always start with the backside first because I want to roast up. So I'm just going to lay these on here with the unseasoned side facing up. And I don't need to add any extra fat to these because the dark meat always has a higher fat content, and so it will stay moist. There's still a little bit of fat you know, on the edges, which is fine. And I'm just going to season the other side. And yes, I'm going to be liberal because I enjoy my spices. And once this is roasted, and I'm going to roast these, there's only 3 of them. I've got my oven set at 375. It should be beeping at me here in just a second. I'm only going to roast these for, I would say, 30 minutes, and they should be done. I'm not going to turn them. There's no need to. And just let them cook all the way through. Whoop, there we go. And once that 30 minutes is up, I'll take their little temperature with a digital thermometer. Be sure that they read correctly at 165. Let them come out and rest and I'll cover them loosely with foil. And that carryover temperature will continue to cook the meat. So I'll take it out at 165. By the time it's fully rested, it'll be 170 to 173. So I'm going to get this in the oven and then I'll start prepping my veggies that are going to go in it. Alrighty, so I have washed my cutting board, I have washed my knife, and I am ready to go on some veggies. Now, this zucchini is the one of 2 that I showed you earlier. We're going to cut that up. I had some cabbage from before that I had taken and marinated in just like a kind of an oil and vinaigrette spice, you know, kind of blend, and was using that as a nice veggie side. But I've done that twice in almost 2 weeks, and I've been eating on it the whole time, and I'm kind of getting tired of it. So what I'm going to do is get some of this cabbage used up before it goes south on me, and we're going to use some of that, believe it or not, in our fajitas. I already have fully prepped in freezer bags here is green pepper. And I'm just going to stick with the green pepper for right now and just be happy with that. But I'm going to take the cabbage, and as you can see, I started doing some shreds. I'm going to kind of leave it that way, and I'm going to lightly saute it. Like with fajita vegetables, you tend to not overcook them. And I want that crunch, I want that freshness. See, those earlier stirrings were kind of limp. Let's go for the fresher part here. We'll get rid of those. Okay, so we're going to start with the fresh stuff. As you get in here, it's a lot fresher, it's a lot crunchier, it's really good for you. So I'm going to pull off what's already kind of shredded here. I keep saying shredded, and really I just sliced it, you know, finely and just left it. Now, and as you can see in here, we're starting to get some dark colors, so it's starting to go south on me a little bit. So I think I can cut out the core here. I can save a couple little pieces here. So I'm glad that I am using this up. That I'll just give it a cut across. I'm combining words. I must be getting tired. Give it a cut across and just kind of let it fall apart there. Again, this in the center, it's a little tough and it's starting to turn color a little bit, so we won't keep that part. These I'll just kind of break up and throw it in the bowl. Now I have a little bit of extra green here. I'm just going to give it a little slice to just kind of break it up. I want to keep the pieces of my vegetables relatively large. That way, no, we don't need that one at all. That way that they hold up in the pan and they retain some of that crispness and all of the nutrients in it. And this one, yeah, again, it's gotten a little dark. So we'll put that in the bowl and put it out for the neighbors' chickens. I don't have chickens of my own, but the neighbors come and visit. Yep, they come and visit quite a bit, actually. Now, this kind of meal, this kind of meal is not something that the rest of my family would be really interested in eating. I mean, they love tacos, they love enchiladas, that kind of thing. But fajitas, I mean, they like them, but they don't love them. And so these kinds of foods that you see me making tonight are more for just what I eat through the week. And so that I'm eating a little bit better, because I'm still very bad about not sitting down and eating a nice balanced meal. So I'm still working on that, but I continue to work on it. My family doesn't eat certain vegetables. I have one family member who'll pretty much eat any vegetable you put in front of her, and another one who's kind of like, not so much. But, you know, that's fine. Everyone likes different things in the house. I cook for them, and I cook for myself. And it's no big deal because, like I've said in the past, they're gone through the week. So I have the house to myself to get done all of the projects that I need to do, all of the cooking I need to do. You know, there's plenty of time through the week. So it's a good opportunity and a good time for me to go ahead and get done what I need to do for my own food. So we've got our onions, and these onions were relatively fresh. I think I originally broke into these about 4 days ago. So we're just going to put those in there and think, let's see here, that outer piece, no, it's good. Okay, I think I'm going to get back on here. I'm going to go ahead and slice this the best I can without taking off an appendage. That's the core. We don't want that. And I think I'm going to slice this guy up. And then I'm going to mince it, and I'm going to put it back in its little Ziploc bag. And I think that would also make a nice addition to maybe some tuna salad for later in the week. These are all pretty much dinners that I'm making. So yeah, I could take this and make a fast tuna or chicken salad. You know, something that I have not made that's also very economical is tuna cakes. Instead of salmon cakes, I use tuna. And it's super economical, and it actually turns out really tasty. I will be sharing that recipe with you in the future. It is just super easy to do. And it freezes really good. I love things that freeze well, you know that. Okay, so we've got our cabbage, we've got our onion, our green peppers are already done. And let's get our zucchini done. I'm only going to use one of these guys, really, because that's a lot of zucchini. That's a lot. And I don't need 2 big giant zucchinis, but I will use one whole one. And what I will do tonight to do double duty is I will mix all of these vegetables together, and then I will only use part of that for the fajitas, and then I will actually probably make a light vegetable side with the rest to serve with the rest of my dinners throughout the week. And then I'm just going to slice it. I cut it down the center after cutting the entire zucchini in half. And then I'm just going to make some nice thick slices, just like that. Again, so they hold up in the skillet when I start to cook them. So, no itty bitty pieces. We want to be able to find our food. Oop, careful. I forgot to grab my bench scraper, so I'm having to grab things here. Oop, kind of missed it on that one, didn't I? All right, so that's pretty much all the zucchini. Got our peppers done. I'm just going to set that aside, and I'm going to come right back to you guys when that chicken is done. Once the chicken's done, it's rested, and it's cooled, then we'll take the meat off the bone and we will slice it up for fajitas, and then it's basically assembly time. Alrighty, so our chicken's out of the oven at this point and it's cooling. So what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and just get the beans going. Now I'm probably going to drain just a little bit of this liquid off. I'm not going to be too crazy about it. Grab a spoon. Grab a spoon, yeah. Okay. So we can get all the lovely beans out. And all I'm going to do is just add some really nice seasonings to it. Rinse my fingers off here. Okay, so we have some nice beans here. I haven't even turned the heat on this yet, but I tasted this and I liked it so much. I'm going to go ahead and add some to the beans. So give it some kick. And since I'm the only one that's going to be eating this particular batch, I can make it as spicy as I want. It's fine. I'm the only one in my family who loves the heat. So, yeah. Oh, I guess I can turn the oven off. Okay, so just a little garlic powder. And a little bit of onion powder. Now, I've got my salt out here. But as I mentioned before, the chipotle seasoning, it has salt in it. So what I'm going to do is actually mash it first and get it all nicely combined. I'll turn the heat on, medium. I think it's really fun that I now have my own canned beans on the pantry shelf, so I can do my own refried beans whenever I want. I've lost track of how many times in the past that I've gone to do like a Mexican dinner for us, only to realize that I was out of refried beans. So it's something simple, but it's kind of a big deal to me, and it's really cool that I can now go, I have my own beans. I don't have to worry. Okay, so those are pretty mashed. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'm going to give this a stir. Whoop. I just really went over the edge on that one, didn't I? I don't know if I really want to mash it too much more. I'm kind of digging the fact that it's got some texture to it. I'm kind of liking it just like that. Get all the stuff out of there. Give it another little... Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it just like that. I'm just going to heat it. Turn that down just a little bit. That looks really, really nice. Okay, I'm going to give it a little test. It's not heated through, obviously, but I'm going to give it a little test to see about the seasoning part. That's pretty good, but actually I could use more. As I dump like half a cup. No, that was probably about 2 tablespoons. Okay, that should be good. I'm going to bring this up to temp. The chicken's cooling. And we're about ready to start throwing the veggies in and getting those done. And then I can eat. Because actually I have not had dinner yet and it's 8 o'clock at night. So, yeah. So I'm just going to keep eating this through and I will be right back, everybody. Yeah, those beans look really, really good. Okay, so our chicken is cooled enough. I think we can work with it. Use my knife to kind of just help myself out a little bit. And I'm going to just take all the meat off that I can. Close to the bone. It's still a little warm, but it's definitely rested enough. Primarily the point of resting a cooked meat is so that all of the juices can get back into the meat. Because it really is true, and I know this from experience, from back when I first learned how to cook, that yes, indeed, you do need to rest the meat, because if you don't, you will have dry, chewy, nasty meat that no one will love, including the family dog. So, there's that. So yes, definitely rest your meat, and to rest it, when you take it out of the oven, 8 to 10 minutes is fine. 15 minutes. That's all you need. It doesn't have to rest for an hour or anything like that. No. And just let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes and you will be good to go. And every ounce of those juices will be right back into the meat, because when meat cooks, it contracts. It gets really, really tight. And when you let it rest, it relaxes, and all the juice that's in the meat will stay in the meat. If you cut that meat when it's really tight, all the juice comes out. It's basically like if you cut yourself, envision, your arm is that piece of protein, and the liquid just comes shooting out. It has nowhere to go except out. So you let it rest and it stays put. And then you have no fail, beautiful, juicy meat, whatever you're cooking. Get that up there. And okay, so we're getting quite a bit here. Before I do that guy, I'm going to probably just cut everything into strips. If I have some bite-sized pieces, no problem. It's all going into itty-bitty baby tacos, so not a big deal. But generally, just try to keep it in strips. And what's nice, guys, is this is so easy to make at home. It's like you don't even really need a recipe. You pick your protein and cook it. Season it how you want it. Cook it how you want it. And have your veggies of choice. Pick a seasoning you really love. You've got fajitas. That's the lovely thing about Hispanic cuisine is that, well, a lot of cuisines for that matter, is that it is very much adapted for anything that you have on hand. If you go, any kind of Asian cuisine, French food, a lot of French food was born out of necessity. Same thing with Hispanic cuisine. It's what you had on hand. It's what you could grow. And that's why it's so forgiving, because you don't have to have necessarily special ingredients to make it work, And I think that's the point. And especially in today's economy, when you can kind of use what you have on hand, it's a win at that point. Be sure I got all the goods off there. I think I did. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut that in half. Cut that in half. Okay, so I would say that we're looking pretty good. My little dog Gwen, she's here at my feet because I'm cutting up chicken, so she is never very far away. And a little piece fell, so I tossed it to her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." She's been waiting patiently. Okay, so our chicken is done, nicely ready to go into a taco. Well, it's fajitas, but kind of the same thing. I'm actually using corn tortillas. I'm not using flour tortillas. I have nothing against flour tortillas. I've spent the majority of my life eating them. I enjoy them, but I have found that I enjoy corn tortillas much better for the flavor and for the fact that if cooked properly, like a nice hot griddle, it holds together better and it doesn't get soggy. And also for me, the soft quality can be a little bit much for me sometimes. So I like the sturdiness of a corn tortilla. So that's what I'm using tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get our skillet screaming hot and get those veggies ready to go in, and then we get to eat. Yay. Or I'm sorry, I get to eat and I get to tell you about it. My bad. Okay, so we've got our beans heated through. We have our smaller skillet on standby for their tortillas. We've got this skillet screaming hot and ready for the vegetables. And I'm going to go ahead and I've mixed these up so that I've got a nice equal distribution of all the vegetables. And I'm going to add the whole thing. I'm going to cook it up, and then I'm going to save half of it for other dishes. And then the rest will be for the fajitas. So I think we look at there, and I'm just going to dump the whole shebang in here. That's what you want to hear. You want to hear that sizzle. It means your food means business, or something like that. So I'm just going to spread them out. This is where I add some seasonings, and I'm going to add a can of green chilies. These are mild. And I'm just going to kind of sprinky dink in here. Make sure you get all the goodness out. Okay, we got it. And then I'm going to add some salt that is sitting over here hiding. And about a good tablespoon. That will help break those veggies down and give them some awesome flavor. And I will go ahead, even though there's onions in here, I'm going to add some onion powder because, it's me. And same thing with the garlic powder. And what I'll do now is, instead of chasing it around the pan, I'm going to use, like I'm tossing a salad, I'm just going to do it like that. And I've got my temperature actually maybe just a little low. I'm going to turn it up about medium high. So it's in between medium and high. And I'm just going to get everything coated nicely, so that all the seasonings and the salt and everything are coating. And then I'm going to leave it alone, which is very hard for me. You know that I like to fuss. But the point is that this temperature needs to be hot enough to cook, but not cook through. You want some of that texture and crunch. Hear the sizzle getting louder? That's what you want to hear, because you don't want these vegetables super cooked through. You want a little bit of crunch and a little sass in it. So I'm going to let that go for just a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to toss it. And I'm only going to cook this probably about 5 minutes. And then, like I said, I will take part of this, put it in this bowl over here. And once that's done, then we will add our chicken in that's fully cooked. So we're just incorporating all the flavors. Once that's done, then I can turn off the heat and start heating this guy up so we can cook our tortillas. And we will be good to go. So let's let that go, and we will resume shortly. Okie doke, our veggies have been going for, like I said, about 5 minutes. But if you notice, it goes through stages. And especially because I added the small can of green chilies, there's some added moisture. And that's going to, as you can tell by all the steam, it's coming off of that. As that moisture dissipates, you can give it the last final little turns. And you're done. So as I said before, I'm going to turn that back down to about medium. Now this burner was never turned on, so I can set my little plastic bowl here. And I'm going to actually, well, that went well. Okay, fine. I tell you what, instead of the fancy wooden spoons, let's get, let's just use a nice spatula. What I'm going to do is actually divide it in half, and this bowl will be what I use for other meals. What I leave in the pan will be fajita mix, and I'm not sure why I said it backwards earlier. I was being creative. That's why I did it. So that's still quite a bit of veggies right there. I'm going to take probably another good, yeah, that's a good portion. Yeah, a good solid scoop there. And I'm just going to set those aside. Put this spatula over here in the sink. You can hear it getting quieter. That means all of the moisture is gone at this point. So we're going to add our chicken in. And we're just going to incorporate, because after all, it's fully cooked. It will not dry out your chicken. You are fine. No worries there. Now, even though it's fully cooked, I've seasoned everything, I am, because I am warped, going to add some more of the seasoning, because I have instantly fallen in love with it. I think it's fantastic tasting. And again, remember, this does have salt in it. So, like I said with the chicken, don't add any extra salt, because it will be too much, way too much. But this should be about right, and our fajitas are done. So, let's go ahead and let's scoot this over here out of the way. And we're going to turn that handle so that I don't bump into it. Now, this guy, we're going to heat up our corn tortillas. This is a brand that I buy all the time. It's tried and true. The consistency is fantastic. And if you keep these in your refrigerator, they will last for months. And I mean months. The last package, and keep in mind, they don't dry out. They don't get, you know, crumbly or they go bad or anything like that. Never had one do that. And I've kept them as long as 7-8 months in the refrigerator, but only in the refrigerator. So if I was really going crazy and not trying to eat super healthy and I just wanted to go bonkers, I would probably use a tablespoon of lard here. Lard makes it taste good. Not that extra virgin olive oil does it, but it's just a scotch better for you. So This is heating up nicely. I'm just going to put like half a, I wouldn't even say a teaspoon, probably closer to a half, because you're just heating these tortillas through. So I'm going to let it kind of get happy for just a minute here. Now I'm not going to have more than a couple of these, and then I don't want to overfill. So I'm just going to take out a couple. Now, they're nice and flexible, but if you tried to fold one, you end up with two. What happens is the corn it has a different structure once it's griddled, once it's heated, and it's a lot more pliable without breaking, which is why I really love it. Plus, they taste really yummy. So yeah, you can't go wrong there. And I'm going to go ahead and just throw these in here and slide it around. Try not to burn myself. I'm going to grab some tongs here. And I'm going to let these guys sit for a minute. It's on medium. I wouldn't leave it longer than a minute. You want it to get some good color, but you also don't want tostada shells. So you still want some pliability, I think, with this. And so you're just going to be checking it. Like right now, I just put it in. It's not going to have any color. But the second it starts getting color, I would check it like at the minute mark. You should have, at this temperature, some pretty decent color by about a minute. And let's go ahead and grab a plate. Okay. And we could probably scooch these guys out of the way. And by the way, these also freeze very, very well. Tortillas of any kind freeze beautifully. Homemade or store-bought, no worries. They're a great thing to throw in your freezer just cause. Okay, I can definitely feel, you get a feel for it. It'll start sliding very freely. And you'll hear kind of little, almost like a scrubbing sound. You'll know that it's starting to cook. See, we're getting a little bit of color now. And I'm gonna flip. So it's been about a minute. We've got a little bit of color happening here. That's lovely. And I'm just going to slide them around to pick up the rest of the fat in the pan, which will help them. And I did grab the cheese. And I do not have any cilantro, but I have some magical hair days. This stuff, the guacamole salsa, it's hot, but it's good. It's really, really good. I think you guys would really love it. Anybody out there, if you've tried it, comment below. It's good. It is so good. Okay, these are almost done. And it's as simple as that. Matter of fact, they're so close. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat and let them sit for just a second. Forgive the fairy music in the background. That's my other phone. That's my work phone in there. Okay, so those look pretty gosh darn good. I always like to give them one last little flip. I like mine with some golden color on it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Just a little bit of beautiful golden color. And this is how we're going to do it. We've got it on our plates. The heat is off. And I'm going to bring you down so you can see how I assemble. Pardon that. Nothing like getting jarred all the way to the ground floor here. And what I'm going to do is pretty gosh darn simple. I'm going to get my spoons out of there because it'll just be easier to not have to deal with that. Okay, so this is still hot, but it's fine. We're going to bring our beans over. I'm going to grab a spoon. And this is what I do. I keep it pretty simple. I've got some nice mozzarella here. I do not have any cotija cheese, which is traditional. A lovely Mexican cheese. It's very dry and crumbly, and it's perfect for tacos, fajitas, and basically I'm serving this like a taco, but that's fine. Fajitas are basically tacos, kind of. It's debatable, I suppose. Got the salsa open. Smells delicious. And this is all we do. Now what I do with my beans, I serve them kind of in with the fajitas instead of on the side. So all I'm going to do is put a little chicken. Whoop, I dropped my veggies. Hang on. Get some veggies on there. A bit of chicken on that one. Some more veggies. And I'm going to take the beans here, which turned out very, very lovely. And I'm just going to take a little bit over the top. Set those aside. And then a little bit of our salsa. And make it pretty. And this time, I'm not going to go bonkers with the cheese. I know, it's scary, but trust the process. And just a little sprinky-dink of the cheese. And here we go, dinner. And it's safe to say that this is less than 500 calories, easily. I'm thinking probably 400. So a nice dinner. All of the components can be frozen and can be defrosted and thrown together for a lovely little weeknight meal for you or your family. It's a win. So I'm going to have some dinner, and the next time you see me, we're going to be making a bunch more recipes. Alrighty, for our next recipe, we are doing a grilled pork tenderloin. I've got one here. It's about a little over 2.5 pounds. And the recipe did not call for this, but I did take, it calls for half a lemon. This is a small one, so I already did half. I'm going to do the other half. But before I did that, I zested it. And I put the zest in the bag. I thought that would be a nice addition. And I'm just going to finish squeezing that. Let me see if I can get any more out of this guy. Not much. Okay. And then it calls for garlic, which we have right here. I am out of my homegrown garlic. I used it all up, but it sure was good. The garlic in the garden is doing very, very well. It is growing very healthfully. So I'm just going to smash these. Let's try that again here. Okay, and it says mince, so we'll go ahead and mince that up. Okay. Get everybody out of the skins. Yep, come back here. All right. It called for 2 teaspoons, so yeah, that's about right. 2 teaspoons. I'm kind of considering, because the recipe actually calls for a 1 to 2 pounds, so I'm a little bit over, and I was kind of considering maybe doubling the marinade. I don't know, I'll have to see what kind of coverage I get. Let's go ahead and mince that just a little bit better. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Get all the goodness in there that I can. I think I dropped some of it on the counter, to be honest. Yep, I got a couple pieces that got away here. Okay, and after that, we're going to do some Italian seasoning, and I'm going to do some fresh rosemary. 1, it needs to be used up, and 2, I love the flavor if it's used properly. You can't overdo it with rosemary. Things like that are, you know, it's like oregano. It can get really strong, especially if it's fresh. So I may go ahead, since it's a bigger tenderloin, maybe add a little extra. Just pull that off the stems. and do a little chop. This is not my favorite knife. Ah, kind of got away from me. My good knife, it's a German knife. I forget what it's called. I think it's Wusthof. It's a very good knife. I've used it for many, many years. This one is a cheapy guy that I grabbed, and I probably should not have because it's not very sharp, unfortunately. Okay, put that in there. And I'm still going to add, even though I put in fresh rosemary, I'm going to go ahead and add the Italian seasoning too. It calls for a teaspoon. I beg to differ. So put in 1 tablespoon. And it also calls for 1/4 cup of oil. So we've got our good extra virgin olive oil here. And it says 1/4 cup, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And our next inclusion here is salt and pepper. Now this recipe, I'm the only one that's going to be eating off of it. And again, it freezes really well, so I'm going to actually make the entire pork tenderloin. So I can use cracked black pepper, I can use the Dijon mustard that's coming up. So it's all good. Oop, pepper go flying here. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we got our salt and pepper, and I think we're gonna do some, Dijon. They want 2 tablespoons. 2 teaspoons, but I will probably do a couple of tablespoons. 1 and 2. Come on. Now I can't get out the spoon here. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside. Rinse off my mustard fingers. And the last ingredient that goes in is honey. So we're kind of doing a honey mustard marinade on this. And I'm going to probably stay at 2 teaspoons so it's not too sweet. I have a thing about sweet and savory. Certain things, sweet and savory together, I love. Other things, not so much. So I'm probably going to keep it right at that, right there. Okay, so we'll set that aside. Give it a little encouragement off the spoon there. Okay. Now we get the honey off the fingers. Okay. And I believe that that's the marinade. Let me double check. Yep, I believe so. Paper's fighting me here. Yep, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to instead mix this in the bag first before adding the tenderloin and getting it all happy and squishy in there. Because it's a lot easier to mix it up now before I put the meat in there than it will be after. I know on YouTube videos, television, we're watching cooking shows, that kind of thing. They put the protein in first and then squish the marinade around. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I'm all about good coverage. So now our marinade is evenly dispersed throughout the bag. So when I put the pork tenderloin in, I can get a good even coating without, the honey sticking somewhere or, the mustard getting clumped up somewhere, if I can get the bag back open. This bag is sassy. Okay, we got it. We got it. So I'm going to put it back on my little clippy guy here. And it's time to cut open our beautiful pork tenderloin. So I'm going to do this over the sink. So let me get right back with you. Okie doke, when I take it out of the package, we actually have 2. So 2 for the price of 1. So when I did the buy one get one on these, I got an extra pork loin out of the deal. So we'll just take that. So I'm just going to drop them in the bag. And I'm going to wash my hands very quickly. I think I've never tried this recipe before. I think it's going to be quite good, and it is still part of the same healthy menu that we're doing. And what I think is great about this is not only can I do, you know, an entree with a couple of sides, but I can also freeze it, and later on I could do tacos with it. I could do, gosh, stir fries. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to really enjoy this pork tenderloin in several different applications. And like I said, it does freeze well. So after I have, you know, a couple of dinners with this, then I can do something else with the same thing. Oh Lord, I'm gonna have to fight this again. All right. I had to get the one Ziploc bag. It's like, nope, not gonna play ball. Okay, so we're just squishing the air out. And I'm gonna seal it up again, but I'm gonna keep pushing air out. Then I'm gonna finish sealing it. Okay, so just gonna massage the marinated that is now nicely incorporated. And as you can see, it's really getting some good coverage now. Now this marinade, according to the recipe, needs to sit about 30 minutes. Oh yeah, see, that's beautiful. That is excellent, excellent coverage. So I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for the time allotted, and I think I'm going to start working on our next recipe, which will be probably lemon pepper chicken. So coming right up. Alrighty, I have made a slight change in plans. I'm going to be making next Greek lemon butter chicken and smashed potatoes because it sounds really delightful. It makes 4 servings, and it does involve butter. You know, I had mentioned that I am trying to do a little bit healthier cooking, but it makes 4 servings, so a tablespoon of butter or a fat of your choice, as it were, is not a big deal. So what I've done is it calls for red potatoes, so I have actually put those on. You're only going to par cook those for 15 minutes. And then what we're going to do, it calls for, of course, butter, lemon, it calls for oregano and spices, and it's going to be layered. We're going to put our potatoes in here, we're going to smash them, we're going to put our chicken on top, seasoned, we're going to layer the lemon in, and when it's all done, it's going to be topped with feta cheese, which I actually have. So I'm pretty excited about that. The potatoes are on par cooking right now. I'm waiting for them to come up to temp. And as soon as that happens, we can start actually assembling this dish. So I'm pretty excited. Alrighty, we've got our potatoes par cooked. And I went ahead, and the recipe does not call for it, but if I'm going to make a savory dish, I use garlic. So I minced up quite a few cloves of garlic just because I could. And I prepped a large-ish onion. It says to just quarter it, so that's what I did here. And then I'm going to slice up our lemon into rounds. But the first thing we need to do, there's our timer, is we're going to pull out our potatoes and we're going to smash them. I've never done this before, so. Ooh, okay. That got kind of messy. I guess I think I pushed too hard. That'll work though. I'd say they're smashed. as I drop them everywhere. Why not? So I tell you what we're gonna do. We are going to take a little bit of olive oil. And I'm just going to kind of lube this up and see if that helps. That should do the trick. And we'll just get it out here. Okay. Not mash the bejeebers out of them quite so badly. Okay. I think I have the hang of this now. Smash, do not obliterate. So we can do this. I don't think this one wants to smash. Where's you going to lay that in there? Okay, that one worked really well. So the recipe says just to lay it in the dish. God, I feel like this is just going to slide away from me and I'm going to hurt myself. So let me see if I can get a better grip on this. Okay, that went fairly well. I made a few extra. What I did was I did 2 potatoes per piece of chicken, and then I made extra to go as a side with some of the other dishes that we've made, or are making, I should say. By the way, our pork tenderloin, I went ahead and I just decided to leave it in there to keep marinating while I worked on this. My reasoning is it can only get better. Besides, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I don't think 30 minutes really is long enough to marinate anything. There, I said it. So, yeah, it's going to sit in there till we're done with this baby right here. That's actually starting, I'm getting the hang of this. Smashed. So, not too shabby. It kind of helps to keep like your potato from sliding out from underneath whatever you're mashing it with, to kind of I just kind of put my fingers around it just lightly. They're pretty hot, but just using my hand and fingers as a guide. And that seems to work pretty well. Nope, come over here in this corner. Okay, so I have a pretty nice dish here. And then it says to start drizzling your butter. I got a spoon out so I can just sort of drizzle that way. It says to use unsalted butter. I have salted. I just think it tastes better, and I still use, even in baking recipes, if it says, you know, unsalted, I use salted. Salt makes sweet taste better. It's actually not too bad. A little bit extra right there. So I'll set that aside. And then it says, and I think because I decided to add garlic, that I'm just going to do that. Get fancy here. I'm getting fancy. If you hear panting in the background, it's my dog. She's excited because she's got her dinner. It's quite a bit of garlic, but once it cooks, it's going to be very roasty, toasty, and nutty, almost sweet. And I think with the butter, it's going to give these potatoes an amazing flavor. And like I said, it says to go ahead and do the lemon now. So I tend to try and take like the ends off first so that I can get a better grip on it as I'm theoretically get a better grip. You know, I may grab that other lemon because this isn't very many slices, to be honest. Let's see if I can do this last one without hurting myself. Yay, I did it. Okay, I'm going to grab that other lemon. I happen to love lemon, and I think it will go fantastic with the garlic. Take that sticker off. I don't think we want to be eating that. Okay. Let's see if I can do this last one here. Ooh. That one was close, but I got it. Okay. And it says to just nestle the lemons in, which I love. This is pretty big. How about my slicing skills, huh? Yeah. Did pretty good on that one, didn't I? And any seeds, I'm just going to kind of pull out. There's actually not a lot of seeds in this one. But I'm glad that I went ahead, oops, there's one right there, that I'm glad I went ahead and sliced up the other lemon, because it's just the perfect amount right here. It looks really, really lovely. Yeah, just enough, I think. And then it said to just quarter the onions, and I'm going to take that as, let's just break them apart and scatter these beautiful onions all over. Once these roast up with that garlic, oh my goodness, it will be lovely. And the juices from the chicken will cook down into it. It will be delightful. It reminds me of a Barefoot Contessa recipe that I saw years ago on her show. Was it? I want to say it was like a brick chicken recipe. And my mind immediately went to her 40 clove garlic roasted chicken, but actually I think this was like a spatchcocked chicken where you take the backbone out and it's laid flat, and then she brick grilled it and then put it on potatoes, and it was pretty awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and season this, and then we're going to put our chicken on top. So let me get my hands washed, and we will move forward from here. Alrighty, we've got our potatoes par-cooked, and I went ahead, the recipe does not call for it, but if I'm going to make a savory dish, I use garlic. So I minced up quite a few cloves of garlic just because I could, and I prepped a large-ish onion. It says to just quarter it, so that's what I did here. And then I'm going to slice up our lemon into rounds. But the first thing we need to do, there's our timer, is we're going to pull out our potatoes and we're going to smash them. I've never done this before, so. Ooh, okay. That got kind of messy. I guess I think I pushed too hard. That'll work though. I'd say they're smashed. As I drop them everywhere. Why not? So I tell you what we're going to do. We are going to take a little bit of olive oil. And I'm just going to kind of lube this up and see if that helps. That should do the trick. And we'll just get it out here. Okay. Not mash the bejeebers out of them quite so badly. Okay. I think I have the hang of this now. Smash, do not obliterate. Let's see if I can do this. Woo! I don't think this one wants to smash. Where's you going to lay that in there? Okay, that one worked really well. So the recipe says just to lay it in the dish. God, I feel like this is just going to slide away from me and I'm going to hurt myself. So let me see if I can get a better grip on this. Okay. That went fairly well. I made a few extra. What I did was I did 2 potatoes per piece of chicken, and then I made extra to go as a side with some of the other dishes that we've made, or are making, I should say. By the way, our pork tenderloin, I went ahead and I just decided to leave it in there to keep marinating while I worked on this. My reasoning is it can only get better. Besides, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I don't think 30 minutes really is long enough to marinate anything. There, I said it. So, yeah, it's going to sit in there till we're done with this baby right here. That's actually starting, I'm getting the hang of this. Smashed. So, not too shabby. It kind of helps to keep like your potato from sliding out from underneath whatever you're mashing it with, to kind of I just kind of put my fingers around it just lightly. They're pretty hot, but just using my hand and fingers as a guide. And that seems to work pretty well. Nope, come over here in this corner. Okay, so I have a pretty nice dish here. And then it says to start drizzling your butter. I got a spoon out so I can just sort of drizzle that way. It says to use unsalted butter. I have salted. I just think it tastes better, and I still use, even in baking recipes, if it says, you know, unsalted, I use salted. Salt makes sweet taste better. It's actually not too bad. A little bit extra right there. So I'll set that aside. And then it says, and I think because I decided to add garlic, that I'm just going to do that. Get fancy here. I'm getting fancy. If you hear panting in the background, it's my dog. She's excited because she's got her dinner. It's quite a bit of garlic, but once it cooks, it's going to be very roasty, toasty, and nutty, almost sweet. And I think with the butter, it's going to give these potatoes an amazing flavor. And like I said, it says to go ahead and do the lemon now. So I tend to try and take like the ends off first so that I can get a better grip on it as I'm theoretically get a better grip. You know, I may grab that other lemon because this isn't very many slices, to be honest. Let's see if I can do this last one without hurting myself. Yay, I did it. Okay, I'm going to grab that other lemon. I happen to love lemon, and I think it will go fantastic with the garlic. Take that sticker off. I don't think we want to be eating that. Okay. Let's see if I can do this last one here. Ooh. That one was close, but I got it. Okay. And it says to just nestle the lemons in, which I love. This is pretty big. How about my slicing skills, huh? Yeah. Did pretty good on that one, didn't I? And any seeds, I'm just going to kind of pull out. There's actually not a lot of seeds in this one. But I'm glad that I went ahead, oops, there's one right there, that I'm glad I went ahead and sliced up the other lemon, because it's just the perfect amount right here. It looks really, really lovely. Yeah, just enough, I think. And then it said to just quarter the onions, and I'm going to take that as, let's just break them apart and scatter these beautiful onions all over. Once these roast up with that garlic, oh my goodness, it will be lovely. And the juices from the chicken will cook down into it. It will be delightful. It reminds me of a Barefoot Contessa recipe that I saw years ago on her show. Was it... I want to say it was like a brick chicken recipe. My mind immediately went to her 40 clove garlic roasted chicken, but actually I think this was like a spatchcocked chicken where you take the backbone out and it's laid flat, and then she brick grilled it and then put it on potatoes, and it was pretty awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and season this, and then we're going to put our chicken on top. So let me get my hands washed, and we will move forward from here. Okay, so we've got our chicken here. We've got our dish here, and I'm really hoping this will hold all the chicken. So all I'm going to do, all it calls for is just some seasonings, but I can't leave it alone. So yeah, I'm going to do a little bit extra. Of course, I've got my salt. And I'm going to salt liberally. And I'm also salting very liberally on here. And why is that? Because those potatoes have 0 salt. So we really want that to get down in there. We're going to use some pepper. I don't normally do cracked black pepper a lot. I love it, but I just tend to not use it very much. But the last couple of days, I have wanted black pepper so much. Now, I'm also doing it over here. Get my arm workout in today, huh? Did a lot of black pepper. There we go. Okay, it does call for oregano. So I'm going to use a good tablespoon. And I'm just going to both sprinkle it on the chicken and a little bit on here, and then our chicken over here. And I think I forgot some seasoning, so I'll be right back. Alrighty, so what I've started now, got all my seasonings down here, and I've started putting the pieces in the pan. And I'm just going to keep doing that. And it looks like we're going to be able to fit everybody on here for the most part. See, that guy's a little covered. Let's see if we can... I'm chicken Jenga is what I'm playing here. Okay, it looks like we got them on there just right. Now, for the top side of this, and I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see everything a bit better. Okay, so for the top side of this, what's going to happen is we're going to season all over again, but first, the recipe says to take the remainder of the butter that we've melted here and just drizzle it over the top of the chicken. So I will do that. I'm not going to lie, this recipe I think would be good enough for like a dinner party company, that kind of thing. It's a very elevated chicken dish. It was pretty amazing. I missed a chicken leg. There we go. And basically, like those sheet pan dinners, this would be the equivalent of, sheet pan dinners. It's an all-in-one dish. You've got all of your veggies, your proteins. So if you had people over for dinner, you could just simply serve this up with maybe a nice glass of wine, a side salad, maybe some nice crusty French bread, and even though it's Greek, you could still do the French bread, and it would be an amazing, amazing dinner. So we've got our butter on, and now we're just going to start repeating our seasoning. So we're going to season liberally. This is probably a good tablespoon right there. I'm going to hit it again with my pepper, because we love pepper. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let me get this guy a little bit more here. Okay. And I think I'm going to use a little bit more of that Italian seasoning. I decided, of course it didn't call for it, but it called for oregano. And I'm like, basil, oregano. Yeah, let's go down that path, shall we? And this is the last of my basil from the garden from last year. So I'm just going to kind of, like I said, I don't have any parsley, so we're just going to use basil because we can. And it's no fun in the kitchen if you're just not making substitutions left and right like a crazy person. I know, I love it. Now this is that lemon pepper seasoning. And it's a salt-free, it's Mrs. Dash. I actually grew up with my mother buying this stuff. It was very popular in the 80s with the health conscious movement and all of that. So I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to finish with what the recipe actually called for, which about a teaspoon of oregano. And this is dried, of course. And that's it. And that looks so amazing. So, okay, the recipe now says, the recipe says 425 for an hour and 10 minutes. I'm not so sure that that's, that may be too much. That's a pretty high temperature, 425. But I know that we're trying to get crispy skin and do all of that. So I'm just going to watch it. But I know it will take an hour probably. But I'm not so sure about the 425. So I've got it set at 425. I'm going to set the timer, but probably about 45 minutes in, I'm going to take its little temperature and see kind of where we're at. So let me get started on that, and I will be looking to probably do actually, we're going to have to do this one at a time because, believe it or not, I have exactly one oven rack in my oven. So we're going to do this first, and I'm going to prep the other dish that should probably be our last couple of dishes because those are the easy ones. We're just doing a lemon pepper chicken, and then I'm going to also roast just a seasoned chicken for Caesar salad. So we can actually cook those together just with different seasonings. So we're going to get this in first, and I will see you shortly in about 45 minutes to an hour. I'll be right back. I don't know, friends, this looks pretty good. Check this out. Look at that. It turned out beautifully. Now, like I said before, can you imagine having that for a little get-together or dinner party? It's perfect. And a dish this size, this had, I want to say 8 pieces of chicken in it, legs and thighs. And my gosh, you could feed a good-sized group of people with this. I am so happy. It's awesome. Well, we got a couple of dishes down here so far, and we've got the pork tenderloin that's getting ready to go in the oven. And then after that, we're going to make some really easy oven roasted chicken for some salads and a quick dinner. So let me get that started. And yeah, this is going to be my dinner tonight. I can tell you that right now. Okay, so I wrapped it in a towel in case it decided to leak. So we've got our beautiful pork tenderloin here that has been marinating. It is happy. It is beautiful looking in here. It is evenly coated all throughout. My oven is set at 400 because I can't do it on the grill. It's nighttime. It's been raining. This recipe initially was for the grill. I'm not doing that, obviously. So I did just a little bit of quick searching, and I can do this at 400 degrees for about 35 minutes, 30 to 35. So I'm going to do that, and the original recipe said to save half the marinade. Well, I didn't do that because honestly, marinades are perfectly fine to go ahead and use for your final product as long as it's cooked. You would never use a raw marinade that has been in contact with raw meat because it's not safe. However, if that same marinade is cooked, it is perfectly fine to eat. So rather than reserving some marinade and going through all the fuss of that, use the whole marinade, I'm going to leave it all on. I'm going to squeeze all the goodness out, and we're going to roast it at 400 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes. Real quick, I just wanted to share with you how this looks. See how beautiful that marinade is? I did go ahead and put about a tablespoon of olive oil in the bottom of this. Because pork loin is leaner cut, I wanted to add just a little bit of fat to it to keep it from sticking really, really badly. So that should take care of that. It is evenly coated in our marinade. Our oven is at 400, and we're ready to go. Alrighty, so I got to thinking about it. The pork loin only needs to go in for 30 minutes. I can go ahead and get the rest of the chicken prep for the last 2 recipes. Now this is going to be actually a pretty easy cinchy recipe. And all it is, let me grab scissors here, is there's probably 3 or 4 chicken thighs in here. And all I'm doing is I want at least one piece for just a regular simple entree dinner with maybe some brown rice and veggies and that kind of thing. But the other ones I want to actually reserve for Caesar salad. So let's see what we ended up with in here. Okay, we've got 3, but they're good sized ones. So that actually works out perfectly. Yeah. So let me set that aside. And yeah, see, like this one will be perfect for a little entree. And then these other 2, I can cook up and use those for a nice salad. And I'm actually going to be making my Caesar salad a little bit differently. I guess I'm always doing something different, aren't I? I can't help myself. I can't follow recipes, and I'm always making up stuff. But what I'm going to be doing with my Caesar salad is that instead of romaine, I'm going to actually be using baby spinach. Get a little bit more nutrition out of that, and it's pretty tasty. I despise cooked spinach, but I love raw spinach. So all I'm going to do is actually for the lemon pepper is, again, I'm just going to use this. They didn't have like a regular lemon pepper at the grocery store, so this was a substitution. I'm perfectly fine with it. I can add my salt and all that good stuff. So I'm actually only going to do this guy in the lemon pepper. And yes, I will add a bit of salt. Probably a little bit more than that. About a half teaspoon. And I will grab some tongs. And I will flip this one, and that one will be done. Now what I'm going to do with these 2 guys is I'm going to get my salt. And what I'm going to do is, I loved that chipotle seasoning that we used last night. Yeah, that is just one. I thought that was maybe 2 for a second. I loved it so much, I decided that for my Caesar salad, I'm going to use the chipotle seasoning. It was really tasty. And yeah, I'm going to go heavy-handed. It's that good. And again, if you guys want, it's called Dano's brand. This is my first time using it. And I love it. I love it. And I had groceries were from Walmart. They were delivered. So you could even go online to their website and order it from there. But I highly recommend it. It's quite good. So for the top of this guy, we're going to go ahead back with our seasonings and a little bit more salt. Get that back. And just give it a flip. I'm not worried about the skin being on there or not being on there. And even though I'm eating it, a little bit healthier manner, the skin provides flavor and moisture for the meat, and it's a little bit of extra fat grams. I'm not that concerned about it. So my thumb touched my chicken, so I'm going to use my clean left hand, and we are going to salt, salt, salt. And again, this has salt in it. That's why I'm putting very little on these guys. Because when I first tasted this, I actually moistened my finger under the faucet and tapped it and tasted it. And it tasted salty. Well, when I finished, I had the fajitas last night. It actually could have stood a little bit more salt. So even though I warned you about the salt, depending on how much you tolerate or want salt on your food, kind of adjust accordingly. I'd rather you go with the seasoning if you use it, and then just maybe skip the salt till you get ready to eat. You can kind of hedge your bets on how you like to do things. So that's it. They're seasoned, and the oven's at 400 with the pork loin in it. But if I wait about 10 more seconds, I could go ahead and put these in with them, and these should be done in about 20 minutes. So I can take the pork loin out and give it a couple more minutes and then take those guys out. So I think I'm going to try that. Let's see how it works. Look at how beautiful that pork tenderloin came out. My goodness. It was fully cooked after 30 minutes, and so the timing and everything was correct. But I did take about 5 minutes and put it under the broiler just to kind of crisp up the outside, and it's glorious. I just love it. So let's go to the finish line and see everything that we made together, guys. We did it. A beautiful week's worth of meals and then some. So we ended up with our fajita mix with our home done pantry refried beans that, by the way, are fat free. I never added any fat to them. And our beautiful fajita mix with chicken, cabbage, zucchini, and onions and garlic. Over here, we took the other half of the stir fry so we could put it with other meals like this. Over here, we've got lemon pepper chicken and chipotle chicken for Caesar salad dressings on baby spinach. And we've got over here our beautiful casserole dish of roasted chicken. I think the name it's a lemon butter Greek chicken with smashed potatoes, and it's just amazing. It looks so pretty. I almost hate to serve it up into containers. And then finally, our beautiful pork tenderloin that actually ended up being 2 pork tenderloins. And the cook time was perfect on it. It worked out great. And I mean, it's just beautiful. I'm so happy. Thank you everyone for coming along with me. It has been so much fun. I always love having you guys around with me. Please come back and see me again real soon. Next time, if the weather is willing, we'll be back out in the garden and then probably on to some more cooking projects. And as always, I love you guys. Take care. Please like and subscribe and share. Comment below. Tell me what you thought of the meals I made. Love you guys. Take care and be safe.